So yeah, it was a lovely lesson. What I think was great about that, and it's something that we worked on, was your timing of it. Perfectly to time, you set a 40-minute time limit, and it was exactly at 40 minutes. And within your starter, and then throughout the different activities, you stuck to kind of what you'd hoped for, roughly 5 minutes for starter. Whereas before, I know your starter was very short, and then the main activity stretched out for quite a long period. Starter was nice, it got people involved, asking them questions about where they'd been. You were good at making sure that you set up the rules again of the classroom with what your expectations are, putting their hands up. Then you talked about, you put the LO up and asked if anyone had been there, seen it. No one had. So you then had to realise that you would now go back to the start, so you went back to what's a verb, basically, which is great. You got their basic understanding. You brought a timetable up on the board, which was there. You had today, tomorrow, and yesterday. I would have had past, present, and future on the timeline. You said, just to make it a bit more clear, it doesn't have to be yes. You said yesterday, Easter break, and just to make things a bit easier. Again, you then went through the LO again. You talked about the two different ways that it can be used. I think I would have said at the start, when you said the LO, today we're going to be doing about the perfect present. Okay, then there are two ways to do it. Just make it really clear that there are two different uses of it. Okay, she's brought up one, and then kind of brought up another one, just to make sure you're explicit with that. You talked about how the perfect present is formed. You had the verbs up on the board. So you had I have, he has, etc. I think I would potentially have just made sure they understand that is the verb to have. Even though it's has, it's still the verb, and how you conjugate it depending on who it is. Because I noticed that one of the children said, no, in one of the sentences it has, not have.
Yeah.
So it's just making sure that they fully understand that it's that verb. You had the pictures up, which kind of got them interested in it, and kind of talking about the different ways that you could put that first sentence in. You talked about the different people in it, the granny, the mum, the kid, whoever, and you got everyone kind of with their hands up asking. You then moved on to the seesaw activity. You made sure that children were listening during the instructions, which was something that we talked about last time, how last time they were already opening their iPads when you were trying to give them instruction, which was great. So you made sure that they were all listening, and you spoke to a student a number of times who tried to keep opening it. What I noticed in the seesaw activity is that it used an apostrophe. So I instead of I have. So it's just potentially something that you might have just said, you may notice in this seesaw activity, it uses the apostrophe as a contraction, just to make it clear. But to be honest, they all understood it. No one had an issue with it, so that's fine. Then I liked the bit on the whiteboard where they were asking each other questions. What I think I would have said, just make sure is that they're answering in full sentences in there, not just saying yes. So yes, I have been to Jamaica, whatever it is. And then we had enough time for the plenary at the end. You asked what they learned, you asked if they were okay with it. I think that would have been a good teaching opportunity to just go, right, how do we form the perfect, past perfect? Get it on the whiteboard or get it on there, just say, right, what do we need? What are the three things we need? We need have, okay, we need your verb, and we need the person that's doing it. And yeah, you ask some questions. Who has been to Jamaica? And then they put their hand up, and you go, right, Eloise, okay, can you put it in now in a sentence? I have been to Jamaica. Yeah? So yeah, a few little things to extend it, just to make sure that their learning is definitely there.
Right.
Because it's great then having a thumbs up, so you get a really good, clear, quick thing, but just go, right, prove to me that you know it with using those sort of sentences. But I think, yeah, at the end of it, I would say that now definitely 90% of that class will be able to go, I can use that tense properly in a piece of writing. So what I think we need to do now is try and, within the next lesson, is now extend it. So within a piece of writing, can you put what you've learned into it? And then again, that's another way to see that they've cemented their learning. But yeah, great lesson, loved it. Nice little bit of GPS. Well done.